After 200 hours in Granblue Fantasy Relink, I've figured out a few things, but let's start with the thing you guys all really want to know about. Which characters are the best? Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joseph, and in today's Granblue Fantasy Relink video, I want to talk about the characters that I feel little butterflies and a little warm fuzzy feeling whenever I either see them in my party or play them myself. These are not to say that any character in Granblue Relink is bad, because there aren't any bad characters. You really can play this game with any of them, and the game, certainly at this point in time, is not difficult enough to ward you away from playing any of the characters that I have not put on this list. As a matter of fact, I'm only listing 5 characters because I don't necessarily think that any character needs to be bottom tier. I'm only going to talk about the characters I think do have a bit of a leg up amongst the rest. So if that's something that interests you, then stay tuned and keep on watching. And if you disagree with anything that I'm saying here, that is absolutely okay with me. Let's start discussions in the comments below. But keep it cool and keep it classy. These are just my opinions and they should not be stated as facts. So starting down at number 5, if you will, I was kind of tossing this up between 2 characters that I wanted to talk about. One of them was Charlotta, because I think there is a great deal going for Charlotta. She has massive invulnerability windows if you allow her to. Her attacks have parries built into them. She can cover great amounts of distance and she keeps up with very mobile enemies. And she simply does a lot of damage. So I kind of wanted to put her in here over the character that I'm going to talk about now, but I'm going to talk about Lancelot as my pick for top 5. And it's down to one move as to the reason why. That move is Kaltzwinger. That move is dumb. It's extraordinarily powerful. Glaciate is a really overpowered status effect, and his version of it is backed up by simple, effective damage, unlike Catalina, who also has access to Glaciate. And I don't necessarily think that she's got terrible damage, but she definitely does have a lot of upkeep that's needed for her, that you have to build for, especially if you want to do Stout Heart, if you want to do any of that stuff to make it so that you can keep hold of her Ares stand for as long as you can. There's a lot of things you have to do to make Catalina work well that you simply don't have to do if you're playing as Lancelot. And Lancelot's damage actually picks up really quite fast, and his DPS over time can be pretty good. It's not the highest in the game, but if you build up supplementary damage using his buff as well as supplementary damage sigils, he can get to enemies really quickly with Blade Impulse, which has a really low cooldown, so he's able to zip wherever he wants to go. But Kaltzwinger keeps the DPS upkeep for everybody else that's in your party, so in an optimized party, I will always be happy to see a Lancelot pop up in my matchmaking, and that's why I've decided to put him in this list. Next on the list is actually a character I don't play, and it'll sound really weird for me to say this, but I absolutely do think that she deserves to be in this list. And I want to highlight a video that many of you who are in the Granblue community will have already seen, but if you haven't, I encourage you to go and check out Starmi's channel, as they have taken Narmaya to a whole new level when it comes to soloing difficult content. Soloing Galanza and Magliel with Narmaya while dealing extreme damage, no AI companions, no human companions. The damage that she puts out consistently is just extremely high. Like, there's no gimmicks with Narmaya, no cheeses like one of the other characters that is going to be on this list, no craziness. She's just really good. Like, her parry is really good. She inflicts slow. She can switch between charge moves and quick moves very frequently. Whenever I get paired up with Narmaya's, which is frequently because let's face it, everyone's loving the plot, but she's just really strong, and the speed at which I can take bosses down goes up depending on whether Narmaya is in my party or not. And if you aren't sure about my example of what to look at when it comes to Narmaya, just check out the videos that Starmi has put out with regards to what Narmaya can do. I will leave a link in the description box to their channel. Please do go and check it out, because she is exceptional and they do a wonderful job of showing it. Number 3 on my list is going to be Eugen. Now, Eugen starts a bit of a trend with what I consider to be the strongest characters in the game. 2 of them certainly take this role, and I wanted to put the third one in here as well, in that they are ranged characters. I have put Eugen in this list, but I haven't put EO in it, and the only reason for that is the uptime that you have when it comes to EO isn't quite as potent due to the amount of charge time she needs to do. That's not to say that she couldn't be in this list. She absolutely could. Starfall's damage is absolutely ridiculous. However, Eugen's ability to farm certain fights, particularly Proto-Bahamut, if you're still looking for the Terminus weapons, and trust me, 200 hours later, it took me long enough to get them, and I wish I'd gotten Eugen's Terminus weapon earlier, it's just magnificent. He has access to paralysis, same as EO does. His ability to just deal consistent damage and the uptime that is available to ranged characters is just far and beyond what is available to melee characters by and large. If Piet is doing his moves where he's zipping around and doing all these crazy things, you can still hit him. If there are ads that you need to hit, you can hit them without a problem. Bahamut's going off and you need to use the guns to take him down, Eugen can still hit him. There's so many good things with regards to Eugen, not to mention the shenanigans that he can do if you pair him up with Rosetta due to the way that grenades interact with some of her moves. You can deal crazy amounts of damage. The damage cap that comes naturally to Eugen's grenades is just fantastic, and then being able to just sit in the back and just take pot shots or whatever's nearby, you don't have to worry about safety. Being able to have that level of safety whilst you're dealing that amount of damage, it's just too good to pass up. Number 2 on the list is going to be Percival. So Percival, I gush about Percival all the time. He's my main. I know you're probably thinking I'm biased because I play Percival or not, but it's the plug and play nature of Percival paired with the insane amount of damage that he puts out with his Schlacht, with his Rotoverbal, the fact that link time, I didn't even mention this in the guide that I spoke about with Percival when I really should have done, is that he can keep link time going for a crazy amount because of his Rotoverbal. He's just very easy to play and very easy to do incredible amounts of damage that you just wouldn't be able to do with a lot of characters. Siegfried, for example, is meant to play in such a way that puts him on par with Percival's damage, but you have to worry about timing issues, and even when you do get all the timings correct, you still don't have the damage output that Percival does. Not to mention the fact that Percival has built-in parries, much like Charlotta, in his Schlacht attack. He's very difficult to stop dealing these crazy amounts of damage. Trust me, and I'm sure that many of you who have played the game extensively like I have will know, if there are built Percivals in your party with maxed out Terminus weapons, etc., you're going to find your fights going significantly quicker than you would if he weren't there. So the thing that you're probably going to notice a lot with the characters that I'm talking about as the best characters in the game is that they have the highest level of damage. And that's because realistically the game is not currently challenging enough to warrant having defensive or support based characters. So I've taken this tier list of damage here from Reddit, and this is a damage DPS tier list of characters that can deal damage to the training dummy. And you'll notice that Vasaraga is right near the top there, right next to Percival. And Vasaraga is a very viable character. However, his lack of mobility definitely holds him back, because while he can do that crazy amount of damage to the enemy, if he can't get to the enemy because they've moved away too far, such as Mana, Gamma or Fury Cane, because they move very quickly, then he's not going to be able to do the damage he should be allowed to do. And Lancelot's actually not high on this list compared to EO or Charlotta, but because Kautzwinger allows characters like Vasaraga to do crazy amounts of damage because of keeping that enemy in place, you'll notice that the capabilities for damage are realistically what matters if you're going for the best characters in the game, because once you've gotten past a certain point, speed of clearing is all that really matters. Now, I'm sure it's not going to come as any surprise to anybody that the character I feel is the strongest in this game is Rackham. Now, even before the shotgun spam method of aerial attacking just repeatedly was discovered, I considered Rackham to be an extremely powerful character. This is despite the fact that his regular charge triangle attack is bugged in online mode. This is despite the fact that he doesn't do as much damage with a lot of things as he could. This is a combination of damage capabilities, safety, and mobility. Rackham can hit anything from anywhere at any time. And if you combine that with the raw damage potential you have from the shotgun spam, You don't need skills. If they nerf that, and I think they should, I still think Rackham deserves a place in this list. Do I think that maybe Percival or Eugen could take it at the top spot? Yeah, probably. But as things currently stand, it's very hard to argue with that raw damage that Rackham is able to do because of that charge jump attack. It's ridiculous. It was at the top of that tier list of the damage I just showed you. If you have a Lancelot or an Eugen in play as well, then you have the CC available, or Percival available, to keep that enemy locked in place while still being able to do ridiculous damage with all of the other characters. It's just an insane amount of damage that Rackham can deal. And I didn't get Rackham's Terminus weapon until the very last weapon I could get, typically. And even before that, I still played Rackham a ton. You saw me play him a ton when I was releasing my early videos for this game. He's just got a consistency to him that is hard to argue with. Do I think that he would be the best character in the game, bar none, without the shotgun spam? No, probably not. But the facts are facts. At least as things currently stand, he has it. We'll have to wait and see if it gets nerfed when Lucilius drops, but as things stand, I think that it's hard to argue with Rackham being the single best character in the game. Of course, let me know, like I said earlier, in the comments below who you think the best characters in the game are. And once again, these are all opinion-based. There are no facts when it comes to these things. It's all very subjective. And if you're not sure what to comment, of course, just type the word algorithm into the comments, because it helps me out a great deal as a content creator, and I appreciate you a great deal for doing so. So that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, perhaps consider clicking the like button, hitting the subscribe button for more Granblue Fantasy Relink videos. Although I will say now, I'm probably going to take a couple of weeks off from content creation fairly soon. I have been burning the candle at both ends for this game, and then obviously with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out, I'll be doing the same thing again. Streaming, learning short form content, all of this stuff I definitely could do with a couple of weeks to take a back seat from things, and I'll probably release a video and go into greater detail about that a bit later on if you want to see it. But for the time being, I just want to say a massive thank you for being here, and a big thank you to the Granblue community for enjoying the content that I've put out. You never know how things go with these videos, right? And if you have really enjoyed this content, of course, don't forget to click the link in the description box below for my Patreon link, where you can get artwork made and all sorts of other benefits made just for you by me to support the channel. And I'm extremely appreciative for those of you that already do. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.